Under the glow of the full moon, three friends decide to venture into the heart of Pennsylvania's darkest forest. The thrill of adventure beats in their hearts, their spirits buoyed by the promise of a journey untaken. Excitement crackles in the air like static, their laughter echoing off the towering trees that stand sentinel over their impending expedition. Yet, as they ready their gear under the moon's ghostly light, an eerie stillness descends. The nocturnal chorus of the forest seems to hush as if holding its breath. An owl hoots in the distance, its solitary cry slicing through the silence like a warning. The wind whispers through the leaves, carrying with it a chill that makes them shiver, despite the warmth of the spring night. They shrug off the unease, attributing it to pre-trip jitters. They laugh, they joke, they dismiss the foreboding signs. Little did they know what awaited them was far from a typical hiking experience. As the sun rose, the forest seemed to welcome our unsuspecting friends with open arms. The air was fresh, filled with the scent of dew-kissed leaves and pine. Birds sang their morning serenades, and the rustling leaves danced to the tune of a gentle breeze. It was a scene straight from a postcard, a picturesque tranquility that lured our friends deeper into its embrace. The three friends, each with a heart full of adventure, trekked through the verdant wilderness. Their laughter echoed through the forest, a testament to their shared camaraderie. They marveled at the towering trees, the carpet of moss, and the twinkling brooks. The forest, in all its resplendent glory, seemed like a haven from the harsh realities of the world outside. But beneath this serene facade, the forest held a secret that was as old as the gnarled roots that ran deep beneath the earth. As the friends ventured further, tiny pricks of unease began to puncture their bubble of excitement. The trees seemed to loom a little taller, their twisted branches reaching out like skeletal claws. The birdsong grew distant, replaced by a silence that was almost oppressive. The friends could not shake off the feeling of being watched. Every rustle, every snap of a twig seemed to echo with a sinister undertone. The forest, once a beautiful maze of green, now felt like a labyrinth that twisted and turned with no end in sight. Their laughter faded, replaced by hushed whispers. The air seemed to grow colder. The sunlight filtering through the canopy seemed less warm. The forest was no longer just a backdrop to their adventure. It was a character in its own right. A character that was slowly shedding its welcoming exterior to reveal a more ominous personality. As the friends trudged on, the sense of unease grew. The forest was no longer the tranquil haven it appeared to be. It was a deceptive calm, a calm that concealed the lurking dangers within its shadowy depths. But as the day wore on, the forest began to reveal its true colors. Suddenly the forest wasn't inviting anymore. The trees seemed to close in, and the shadows began to dance. It was as if the world had changed its tune, the once serene forest now humming a disquieting melody. The three friends, initially intoxicated by the thrill of the unknown, began to feel the sobering chill of uncertainty. The forest, once their playground, started to feel like a labyrinth. The path they had followed twisted and turned, leading them deeper into the heart of the wilderness. The chirping of birds was replaced by an eerie silence, broken only by the rustling of leaves and the creaking of ancient branches, as if whispering secrets of the forest they dared not share. The friends, initially dismissing these signs as mere coincidences, could not ignore the mounting evidence of their predicament. The compass spun without direction, their map seemed irrelevant, and the trail markers they had left behind mysteriously vanished. The forest was playing a game, and they were the unwilling participants. In the face of the unknown, they tried to rationalize the situation. They told themselves it was just their minds playing tricks, that the forest was just a forest and nothing more. But the unending maze and the strange occurrences chipped away at their resolve, turning their rationalizations into hollow words. They tried to make light of the situation, laughing off their fears, but their laughter echoed back from the trees, distorted and mocking. The forest, it seemed, had a cruel sense of humor. The setting sun cast long, monstrous shadows that seemed to creep closer with every passing minute, their friendly banter replaced by an unsettling quiet. Their descent into darkness was not just physical but psychological. The forest, once a place of beauty and serenity, had morphed into a malevolent entity, its every rustle and whisper a testament to the terror it held. As night fell, the forest transformed into a realm of terror. The friends, now prisoners in their own adventure, could only hope to survive the night. Little did they know the true horror was only just beginning. In the pitch darkness, each rustle, each whisper of the wind became a chilling reminder of their plight. The trio, once jovial and full of life, were now gripped by an icy dread that seeped into their bones and dominated their every thought. Their laughter and camaraderie had been replaced with an unyielding silence, broken only by the ominous sounds of the forest. Their light-hearted hiking trip had spiraled into a desperate battle for survival. The forest had turned into a labyrinth of shadows and terrors, a cruel maze with no apparent exit. Every tree looked the same, every path led to more darkness. The once familiar landscape had transformed into a monstrous entity, a relentless pursuer in their dreadful game of hide and seek. The friends who had once confidently navigated these woods were now lost in its menacing depths. Their attempts to find a way out were thwarted at each turn. The forest seemed to twist and contort, reshaping itself to keep them trapped within its clutches. They could feel the forest watching them, preying on their fear, biding its time. It was as if the forest was alive, its every leaf a pair of eyes, its every branch an outstretched hand, ready to snatch them up. The forest didn't just want to keep them, it wanted to torment them. Terrifying events unfolded around them, each more horrifying than the last. Shadows danced and morphed into grotesque shapes, whispering threats and promises of doom. The wind carried eerie melodies that echoed through the trees, a symphony of their impending doom. The forest floor seemed to breathe beneath them, undulating like the belly of some monstrous beast. And then there were the creatures, beings that should not exist, yet did in this malevolent wilderness. Creatures that lurked in the dark, their eyes glowing with a hunger that was all too real. They could hear their growls, the snapping of twigs under their weight, the rustling of leaves as they moved closer. But they never saw them. They were always just out of sight, hidden in the darkness, their presence felt but never confirmed. The friends clung to each other, their once strong and confident figures now frail and trembling. Their faces were etched with fear, their eyes wide and unblinking. They moved as one, their footsteps silent, their breaths held. They were united in their fear, in their resolve to survive. Every minute was a test of their courage, their will to live. They had to keep moving, keep fighting. They had to survive. Every step they took was a small victory, every breath a testament to their resilience. But the forest was relentless, its terrors unending. As the minutes turned into hours, their hopes began to fade. Their spirits were being crushed under the weight of their terror. The forest was winning. They were trapped in a nightmare that seemed to have no end. Just when all hope seemed lost, the forest offered them a glimmer of hope. Panting heavily, their hearts hammering like a drum, the trio found themselves standing on the edge of an ominous chasm. The night was dark, the forest eerily silent, save for the sinister whispers of the wind. The dread that had been lurking in the shadows now wrapped itself around them, its icy touch sending shivers down their spines. But in the face of despair, something sparked within them. A flicker of resilience, a burning determination. They were not going to let the forest consume them. They were not going to be just another forgotten tale of the Pennsylvania mountains. They were going to fight. With a newfound resolve, they set about formulating a plan. Their first obstacle was the chasm. It stretched wide and deep, a gaping maw waiting to swallow them whole. The only way across was a rickety old bridge, its planks creaking ominously under the slightest pressure. But they had no choice. One by one, they crossed, their breaths held, their hearts pounding. The bridge groaned under their weight, but it held. They had made it across. Next, they had to navigate the labyrinthine forest. The trees loomed over them, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal hands. The forest was a maze, its paths winding and twisting, leading them deeper into its heart. But they pressed on, their resolve unbroken. They followed the stars, their only guide in the oppressive darkness. In their desperate bid for survival, they made sacrifices. They left behind their belongings, their backpacks becoming burdens too heavy to carry. They tore strips from their clothes to bandage wounds, their bodies bearing the scars of their ordeal. They shared their last bits of food and water, their hunger and thirst a constant reminder of their struggle. But through it all, they held on to hope. They clung to each other, their friendship their strongest weapon against the forest's cruel tricks. They encouraged each other, their words a beacon of light in the surrounding darkness. They pushed each other to keep going, their determination infectious. Finally, as the first rays of dawn pierced the night, they saw it, the edge of the forest, freedom. With a final burst of energy, they ran. They ran as if their lives depended on it. Because they did. They ran until they burst into the open, the forest's grasp slipping away. They had made it. They had escaped. They had survived. In the face of overwhelming odds, they refused to surrender. The forest had tested them, pushed them to their limits, but they had emerged victorious. Their story was a testament to the power of friendship, the strength of the human spirit, and the will to survive. In the heart of the forest, the friends faced their greatest challenge yet. The ominous trees loomed overhead, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal arms. The air was thick with an unseen menace, a palpable dread that seemed to seep into their bones. But there was something else too, a flicker of determination, a spark of defiance that refused to be extinguished. Their journey had been fraught with peril, each step more treacherous than the last. But they had come this far, and they weren't about to give up now, not when they were so close to escape. They huddled together, their breaths coming in short, ragged gasps. Their hearts pounded in their chests, a frantic drumbeat that echoed in their ears. This was it, the moment of truth. They could no longer run, no longer hide. They had to face their fears, confront the terror that had been stalking them through the shadowy wilderness. It was a battle not just for survival, but for their very souls. The darkness had tested their courage, their resilience, their friendship. Now it was time to fight back. They stood their ground, their eyes steeled against the encroaching darkness. They were no longer the frightened hikers who had first ventured into the forest. They were survivors, warriors. Their fear had forged them into something stronger, something fiercer. They were ready. Their battle cry echoed through the silent forest, a defiant shout that shattered the oppressive silence. It was a challenge, a declaration. They would not go quietly. They would not be defeated. They were stronger than their fear, stronger than the darkness. They charged forward, their hearts filled with a fiery resolve. They moved as one, their steps in sync, their voices united in a chorus of determination. The forest seemed to tremble at their approach, the shadows retreating before their onslaught. The confrontation was fierce. They battled with every ounce of their strength, every fiber of their being. But they were not alone. They had each other, and that was their greatest weapon. Their camaraderie, their bond, their shared determination was their shield, their sword. It was their beacon in the darkness. Their struggle was monumental, a clash of wills that seemed to shake the very foundations of the forest. But they did not falter. They did not surrender. They pushed forward, their resolve unwavering, their spirits unbroken. And then, just when it seemed like the darkness would swallow them whole, they broke free. They emerged from the forest, their clothes torn, their bodies bruised, but their spirits triumphant. They had faced their fears. They had confronted the darkness. They had survived. Against all odds, they emerged from the forest, forever changed. As the sun rose, the friends found themselves on the edge of the forest, looking back at their harrowing journey. A journey that began as a simple hike had transformed into a test of their courage, strength, and unity. In the face of the unknown, they had seen their friendship tested and strengthened. They had peered into the abyss of fear and found within themselves a resilience they never knew they possessed. They had walked through the shadowy depths of the Pennsylvania mountains and emerged not just as survivors, but as heroes of their own story. The forest may have been sinister, but it was also a teacher. It taught them the power of unity, the strength in courage, and the valor in survival. Amidst the dark, they found light. not in the forest, but within themselves. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel for more in the future.